All right, today we are going to break down something that looks incredibly simple on the surface, but is actually, surprisingly deep. We're talking about a 7-line conversation. Seriously, that's it. But it is an absolute masterclass in emotional intelligence, all packed into just a few words. So let's dive right in. So here's the question that really gets to the heart of it. How do you help someone who just won't talk? We've all been there, right? You can clearly see a friend, a family member, someone you care about is hurting. But every time you try to reach out, you just hit this invisible wall. What are you supposed to do then? Well, this tiny little dialogue actually gives us a pretty powerful answer. So our story begins where these things almost always do, with that simple question, are you okay? It's direct, it's our go-to way of showing we care, and it kicks off this whole interaction. But the answer we get back, well, that's where things start to get interesting. Now that first yeah is fascinating, isn't it? It's not a real yes. There's actually a term for this, a dissonant affirmation. It's kind of a fancy way of saying you're using a positive word to hide a negative feeling. It's that automatic shield we all put up when we just want to shut a conversation down before it even gets started. It's pure self-defense. But here's what makes this whole thing work. This is the crucial part. The person asking the question doesn't just take that yeah at face value. They're not just listening with their ears, they're listening with their eyes. By immediately asking, have you been crying? They're showing, hey, I'm paying attention to the feeling behind your word, not just the word itself. And this is where we get into that classic emotional standoff. The person who's upset starts, building a wall, a verbal wall, brick by brick, to block any and every attempt to connect. And here it is, the first brick in that wall, a flat no. It's a total denial of what's probably obvious, the physical evidence. Now, the whole conversation could have just died right here. The person asking could have just backed off, but they don't. So they try one more time with the most standard play in the book. Do you want to talk about it? And what do they get? The second, much bigger, much stronger brick in the wall. Another hard no. This one isn't just denying something. It's actively slamming the door on the entire idea of communication. And there you have it. The verbal path is completely shut down. The message couldn't be clearer. I do not want to talk about this. And honestly, for most of us, this is where we'd probably give up, right? We tried. They said no. What more can you do? But this is where the whole thing takes a really brilliant turn. This next move is the pivot point of the whole exchange. It's a change in strategy that's so simple but so profound. This is the moment where empathy stops being about words and starts being about action. And this just lays it out perfectly. Look at the shift here. Do you want to talk is actually a request. It's asking the person who's already hurting to give something, to give their story, their energy, to make themselves vulnerable. But do you want a hug? That's a pure offer. It's only asking them to receive something. Comfort, support, just simple presence. See the difference? So the offer isn't about fixing the problem anymore. It's not about finding a solution or figuring out the right advice to give. No, it's about providing something way more fundamental. Just a moment of connection, of safety, without any of the pressure to explain a single thing. And with that one simple, nonverbal offer, the entire dynamic just flips on its head. That wall that was so carefully built up, it comes tumbling down. Instantly. Yeah, that single word, it carries all the weight of this entire interaction. It's a release, it's acceptance, it's just surrendering to the offer of comfort. So let's just stop and realize how totally different this yeah is from the one at the beginning. The first yeah was a shield. It was armor. This yeah, this is an open door. It's vulnerable, it's honest, and it's a complete and total breakthrough. Okay, so what's the big takeaway for all of us here? Well, this tiny little conversation is basically a perfect roadmap for how to show up for someone when words are failing. You can really break it down into 4 simple steps. Here's the playbook. First, you have to assess the situation beyond just what you're being told. You've got to see the real emotion. Second, and this is huge, respect their boundary. When they say no, you don't keep pushing that same button. Third, you shift your offer. You go from asking them to give something to offering them something. And finally, you just provide presence. Because sometimes just being there is the most powerful thing you can possibly do. So what this really teaches us is that true listening, it involves all of our senses, not just our ears. It shows us that respecting someone's verbal no can actually build the trust you need for a totally different kind of connection. And it really proves that sometimes a simple offer of presence can tear down walls that words never, ever could. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In our rush to always fix things, to find the right words and the perfect solution, maybe we forget that sometimes the most important thing you can ever hear from someone isn't a word at all.